my ice auto team. Again, this is another old auto run that apparently I didn't make a recording for and put it even on Twitch, so I'm just going back over old teams and putting them up so that people can use them. But why not? Let's add some commentary, because sometimes it's easier than reading. So let's start off with Kyros. The beauty about using Kyros for this team is because Icebound removes haste, which the boss has. He's got his Awakening, which has an Imperil, and Switch Draw, which gives him an Ice. This isn't that important, I don't think. He uses it towards the end, but I'm pretty sure that you could do it without this. It removes the delay, no, reduces the delay of all users on the same row, but I think you'll find it's not necessary. And as part of my no RNG challenge, I've taken off the double RNG ones, and this one wouldn't help anyway because it's lower dark. Celeste. She's just got her N Ice. I don't think it's that important to have. I think the only issue is don't put this on. You don't want that on. For the reason being that she's already got Macromite on. She will cast her chain on her second turn, not her first, because she'll cast either the Roaming Warrior or the Magicite, and then she'll cast her chain. So you do not want this to go off, because otherwise she will be earning more soul break points than she otherwise normally would, which means she'll cast her chain earlier, which will throw everything off. So you could, even if you don't have an N Ice LMR, just put an LM1 on. That will do just fine. Lara, standard, Glint Plus, Awakening, USB 1. You don't need any RNG on this, so I'm going to leave this off, because she doesn't actually use Bard abilities anyway. Squall, I think the only thing I've got for him that's different is this, which, I don't know, I don't think this is that important to have. I think it means he acts sooner, but it's really not that vital. And then you've got an Ice, which, if you've seen my fire video, it doesn't make a big difference. He's got his Glint Plus again. It'd be interesting to see whether you could do without these, but I think the bare minimum is his Awakening. That's it. And then Laguna. Again, I don't want any RNG in this fight. So he's got his Glint Plus. So Empowered Infusion, remove delay, which helps him cast his Awakening sooner, which again has Imperil, Infuse. His Chase on his Awakening, I don't know if that does an Imperil, but if it does, it's automatic. There's nothing I can do about that. And because he can technically do... oh, sometimes he does do his Arcane. In fact, I think he always does it. But all of these are Machinist abilities, or chance for Imperil. I've taken them off. He's actually doing his Sharpshooter. So I'm actually gimping him a little bit. He could do more damage, or he could do more Imperil, but there's an RNG element to that, so we take it off. Magicites, my standard Shiva, with a defensive Veil 4. You've got your crit chance and crit damage with attack. The reason why I have, just quickly, the reason why I have this team set up the way I want it is because Celeste must not chain on her first turn, otherwise it happens too early on both counts. So I want her to waste a turn doing Magicite or Roaming Warrior, and then she can do a chain on the second turn. Alara needs to glint, and that's pretty much it, I think. Just make sure. It's been a while since I've actually used this. Remove the delay from the user's actions for one turn. See, I would have thought I would have done that followed by that, but I guess not. I think I just use it to build up the Soul Break generation. And one thing which I could try after this, actually, because some people might not be able to do this, is you could possibly do this with a mage team. Celeste, you could have... I've got Sarah. I've got Sarah's chain. And she can do white 3, which means she could do Dispel. I think she probably would need R2 Dispel to make sure that she can get it off in time. And then she could just do chain Blizziger. The only problem I would have with that is because Dispel does less Soul Break point generation, that by the time she's done, she's wasted a turn, then she's done her chain, then she's done probably 2 to 4 Dispels. It could be that the chain wears off before she has a chance to cast it again. That's the only issue I have with that. And there are other Gen 2 magic chains you could use as well. I think there's a Deer as well. Squall, there's nothing special about him, so you could replace him. I think I've got Renoa's Awakening and Sync, I've got Seven's Awakening, so yep, Squall and Laguna, they could be replaced by Renoa and Seven. And I don't know what to do about Kyros. I suppose you could technically have Vivi. Vivi's Awakening could work. In fact, I actually need to update my... I've got my little spreadsheet of all my Awakenings and Syncs that can either do N element or off element for both magical and physical. So that's four tables I've got. So I need to update that at some point. Again, speed 3. Anything more than speed 3 and it throws everything off. So the only issue I think with Ice Week is there is a sap. I think there's a sap. Can't remember. Let's look that up while I'm letting this run. Let's see. No, Ice Week you have Null Frost, which Shiva should be able to take care of that. Also Kyros, he's got his Imperil too, so that's something. And then you've got Haste, but Kyros deals with the Haste. So yeah, we have to have... Kyros is the fastest character, so he has to waste a turn, unfortunately. But Celeste, she needs to waste a turn so that she casts her chain later. Laguna, his instant cast is used on a sharpshooter ability. It just means he gets to build up his soul break points a little bit quicker. Oh, I was wondering why Alara healed then. It's like, oh yes, that's her awakening. Whoops. I don't think there's really anything else to explain. I mean, the fact that there's no RNG just means that the fight runs itself. So if I'm repeating myself, sorry about that. There's no RNG. Record boarding is something that came after I made this auto run, so if anything, people are just finding it easier to do damage. They've got more health, so they're less likely to lose last stand and heals. If there was a 6-star Bard ability that Alara could use, I would probably use that. But I think I would rather have her do Curada for the Soul Break generation points rather than anything else. And Squall's going off a little bit late. Yeah, Squall's going off a little bit later. But again, whether he needs to do his Glint Plus at the start, probably not. I think the only issue with physical teams is you need to rely a little bit more on crits. But I'm pretty sure if you couldn't replicate, say, Shiva, or you couldn't replicate Kyros's Imperil on his Awakening, you could give Laguna Imperil Ice, and you would still win. I mean, I've already got 6 Imperil, although I think that goes down in a turn or two. There we go. Speak of the devil. But I'm still doing max damage, and that's probably why I'm using Squall for his Glint Plus and N Ice. So he's got 3 stacks. And the chain goes off, at 20 seconds rather than 15, but the problem with Celeste is if I use a LM2, she'll generate soul break points far more quickly, which you might think is good, but when you hit phase 3, if she gets hit by those 3 turns of 4 hits, that's 12 hits, and she'll end up spamming her chain over and over and over again, which you don't want to. 1, it's a time waste, and 2, it resets the damage. But perhaps at the end of the stream I'll see if I can do a magic team of this. I'd be interested to see if that would work. I'm just wondering if you really need Dispel to remove the haste. I suppose it depends on your DPS. And unfortunately, I think... well, no, there should be no RNG, so it's just unfortunate that Kyros didn't get his turn in. And I do find that the healing boon it is something that's helpful in these fights, because that extra 300 healing per tick, it adds up. It means you don't lose last stand, you do that little bit more damage each turn. I think this fight actually goes a tiny bit over 30 seconds at speed 3. If you do speed 1, it's sub 30. But if you do speed 3, it will go, I think it's like 31.8. Yeah, I predict it will be 31.8 seconds, this fight. It's essentially always the same time. It's just a shame I've got all this DPS on Celeste and I can't use it, because she has to use her chain. And here we go, right at the end of the fight, so I really don't think that USB is necessary. I think he might get one turn in if we're lucky. Yeah, there we go. Celeste is doing her chain again. That's the downside. So if you had used the LM2, it would be even worse. It could be that now that I've record-boarded people, I can now sub-30 this. So it's a good job I didn't bet on 31.8. There we go. 29.5. Well, that's cool. It's a new PB. And there we go. That's 2 auto Odins with no RNG. Asterisk. As I said, VV has one element of RNG, but there's nothing I can control about that. And even then, I was still kicking its ass. Let's just quickly check. Do I have him? So there's no record board on Laguna. There is on Squall, but he doesn't have that much. I'm not even sure he's going to make my Dreambreaker team, to be honest. Renault is not even on my team, but I'm sure she would kick ass. Kyros? Yeah, Kyros is record boarded. There we go.